boys, today we are back, and in today's video I'm going to be going over what is the better card to watch this weekend. Obviously we have some competition for the UFC this weekend. The MVP card, most valuable promotions, Jake Paul is putting on a low-key banger of a card this weekend. It's the first time the UFC has had competition outside of boxing. Obviously there's there's sometimes big boxing fights when there's a UFC fight on, so I'm not counting that because boxing is shit, but I am counting like big time MMA. No Bellator, no PFL, nothing compares to what this card is, in my opinion, this MVP card. This is the best offering outside of the UFC we've had in a long time. And don't get me wrong, some of these fights are not good. Some of these fights, are still pretty shit in my opinion. But this is the best we can get outside of the UFC. So I'm going to be breaking down both cards. I'm not going to be giving my predictions. I'm going to make my predictions, for Costa versus Allen. I'm not going to be making predictions for this card. Maybe I'll go through them in this video, but I'm going to be dropping my predictions for Costa versus Allen tomorrow. So but I'm just going to be going through either the matchups of each card and letting you know what you should watch. In my opinion, I am going to be tuning into this card. I'm going to be obviously have both on. The UFC is going to be the main priority, but I'm probably going to watch every single one of these main card fights. And I'm going to tune into the prelims if there's a finish. Only if I see that there's been a finish, I'm going to tune into it. And just to see what it looks like. I'm just, interested in what it does look like. It's at the Intuit Dome, pretty nice arena. When the UFC went there, it was fire. So yeah, let's get straight into it. I'm going to start off with the UFC card actually, and we're just going to go through the entire card. I mean, Sean O'Bannon, Nicole Cagliari, Daniel Perez, Luis Gruel, Alice Ardelion versus Polyana Viana, Cody Brundage, 11-9 Cody Brundage versus Andre Petroski. We're going to keep going. Wow, another women's fight. Ketlin Vieira versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Mind you, this is at the Apex too. This will have no crowd. This will be soulless. Oh, nice. Tommy Gant versus Artur Minev. Who? Who are these two? I haven't heard of either of these guys. Oh, at least we have Tuco Tokos versus Ivan Erslan. At least we have this featured prelim. I'm not gonna lie, I did not know this card was this shit. Holy fuck. You need to watch the MVP card, low-key. This card is ass. Holy fuck. Main card, Nikolai Veretennikov versus Chaos Williams. Ew. Timmy Kwamba versus Bernardo Sopage on the main card of a UFC fight night. Bro, we have lost the plot. Modestas Bukauskas versus Christian Edwards. Christian Edwards? Excuse me, who's Christian Edwards? Like, genuinely, who's Christian Edwards? Malcolm Wellmaker versus Juan Diaz is your featured fight. Are we serious? I'm a Malcolm Wellmaker enjoyer. Juan Diaz had a great knockout on the Contender Series, but feature fight? It's just stinky, bro. It's just shitty and stinky. Duho Choi versus Daniel Santos is your co-main event. I get it. This is probably going to be a scrap. Duho Choi always comes a scrap. Daniel Santos, shoot the box legend, trains with Charles Oliveira, is going to be a scrap. Don't get me wrong. This will be a good fight. But who really gives a fuck about this? Let's be real. Seriously. Like, this has no stakes, no nothing. And then we get to the main event. This is the only good fight on the card, in my opinion. Easily. The only good fight. But there's going to be no hype around it because Arnold Allen doesn't sell shit and Melky Costa can't speak English. It'll probably be a sick fight, but it's also in the Apex. And it's going to be soulless. And the rest of the card is dog shit. So, there's your UFC card this weekend. Half of these people, I don't even know how I'm going to do my predictions. I genuinely might just flip a coin. I'm dead serious. What is this? Yo, no disrespect to these two. Tommy Gant versus Artur Minev. Who are these people? Please. These got to be short. This has to be a short notice. Like, this has to be like a UFC guy. He fell out. He got Tommy Gant as an opponent on short notice. Then the UFC guy fell out, and then Tommy Gant's got to fight this dude on short notice. It has to be, or some shit like that. Ain't no way this is a UFC offering. This card is probably one of the worst cards of the year, easily. So let's check out the MVP card. Let's rate it. Chris Avila versus who? Jenkins? I don't even know his first. Oh, they don't have first names on here. Chris Avila versus Jenkins. No name. Nobody cares. This is like a UFC. This is just as bad as the UFC though. Like some of those early fights. Alex Pereira's sister versus some random Canadian girl. This probably has more hype than fucking 7 or 8 of those prelims. Like 6 or 7 of those prelims. This has more hype just because it's Alex Pereira's sister. Now, will she be good? Will she live up to the hype? If she does, that's going to be fucking fire, honestly. But that fight just automatically has more hype than any single one of those prelims. Any single one of those fights on the UFC card. Alex Pereira's sister has more. Other than these 3 fights, I'd rather watch Alex Pereira's sister. I'm dead serious. Over these 3, over all these prelims. These top 3, no, but like that's actually insane. What do we got? David Magoyan. He had a close fight. I think he was the one that fought Tommy McMillan. He's Arman Sarukian's cousin. He's going to be fighting some dude named Morales. That's like a no-name fight. That's like one of those fights on the prelims. Like you just don't really give a shit about it. Jason Jackson, only dude to slam out Yaroslav Amosov. He's fighting a dude on short notice. This was supposed to be someone else. I can't remember, but interesting. But like Bellator reject, who really cares about that? Adriano Moraes. Oh my God, this is supposed to be Muhammad Mokaev. That would have been such a banger fight. But unfortunately, Mokaev did have to pull out due to visa issues. So we have this dude, Nakuda. Supposedly he's a great prospect. I saw that on Twitter. I'm not sure if that's like 100% legit, but supposedly he's really good. But that fight does nothing for me now. And then Fazil versus Babian. Yeah, so these prelims, honestly, shit. None of them are better than the UFC prelims. The UFC prelims are awful too, but prelims versus prelims, they're both pretty terrible. Alex Pereira's sister, probably the only interesting thing on here. Adriano Moraes, maybe if he was fighting Mokaev, but not anymore. But let's get to this main card. Robelis de Spain versus Junior Dos Santos. I probably won't watch this fight either. I'm not going to lie. Robelis de Spain, UFC reject, does have power. JDS is like fucking 50 years old. Can't take a punch anymore. So I do suspect Robelis de Spain go out there and get a huge knockout. I'm just not that excited for it just because they're both kind of like UFC rejects. I know Junior Dos Santos was a champion and shit. I mean, at this stage in his career, he's not built for the UFC, and neither is Robelis de Spain. He's awful. JDS could just out-wrestle him the entire time and make it boring too. But now here we get into the good shit. Saladin Parnasse, I think his name is, versus Karrion Kross. Who's Karrion Kross? I don't know. Some Cross dude. I'm only excited for this just because I've never seen Parnasse fight, and supposedly he's really good. But people were saying like Lucien Kita was really good on the regional scene, and look how it looked like. You know what I mean? Patchy Mix was good on the region. Like, I'm not going to be that impressed unless I see him do some work. So I'd probably still rather watch the top 3 UFC fights. I'd definitely watch these 3 fights over like the Parnasse fight. Obviously, I'm going to tune in, but I'd probably still watch these 3. And this is where it all changes. Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry. Obviously, I'm going to tune into that. Both of these dudes out of their prime. Mike Perry only good in BKFC. Literally can't do anything else other than BKFC. And Nate Diaz, obviously, he has a lot of fans. I'm not that big of a fan of him, but I'm going to watch. Like, he's a big name. He should be fighting fucking McGregor in the trilogy. That fight would have banged in July. I do also think, I'm just going to say this before I get to talking about the main and co-main. I do think the UFC is going to announce the Conor McGregor fight sometime on Saturday to take away the shine of this card. They used to do that all the time back in the past when another big card was happening. They'd announce a huge fight. So expect a McGregor announcement this weekend, especially since we were supposed to get it last weekend. I think they delayed it just so they could kind of shit on this card, but that's a different topic. But Mike Perry versus Nate Diaz. I'd rather watch that than the only fight I'd rather watch in that is honestly Arnold Allen versus Melky Costa. But then we get to the co-main of the MVP card, Francis Ngannou versus Felipe Lins. You got to tune in. Even though I'm not that big of a fan of Ngannou, I think he's a little overrated. I do think this is going to be a knockout. I do think Francis Ngannou is going to fucking starch Felipe Lins. Now, if Lins wins, it's going to be genuinely insane. It'll be cinema if he wins, but I do think Ngannou is going to go out there and get a huge knockout. So I am looking forward to that fight probably more than any fight on the UFC card other than Costa Allen. Like like the Costa Allen card, this is the only good fight. Like genuinely, this is the only good fight. Any other fight, I'm really not that interested in. And I'm interested in like the top three. I'm way more interested in the top three fights here than the top three fights here. Even though Alan Costa is a better fight than every single one of these, if I'm comparing these three to these three, I'm low key going the MVP card. Obviously, Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. Probably not going to be the best fight, but it's just going to be fun to see those two go out there again. Ronda Rousey obviously used to be dominant. I think she probably just goes out there and subs Carano in like a round. I'm not even kidding. I think she puts the pepper on Carano and then subs her like a club and sub type of deal. So that'll be fun to watch. But yeah, in my opinion, I think you should watch the MVP card, especially the main card over. You could probably watch the prelims of the UFC over the prelims of this. And then when the main cards start, low key, I'd have two screens up. I'd be watching the MVP main card way more than the UFC main card until it gets to the main event. They're starting at around the same time, so it's going to be interesting. I'm definitely going to have both on, but in my opinion, the MVP card is better. Just the top three fights are way more exciting than the entire UFC card. So in my opinion, the MVP card is better. You should probably watch this over every single fight on the UFC except for the main event, Melky Costa versus Arnold Allen. You should watch that over any of these fights, but you could probably just go back and watch the other UFC fights on Sunday if you missed anything. But I'm going to be tuned into both. I'm very excited for both cards. Actually, I'm only excited for this. I'm not going to lie. I'm excited for Melky versus Arnold Allen, but this I'm way more like intrigued about. So hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys are going to watch in the comments. I low-key am going to watch this, and I'm going to be more excited about it than the UFC card, which is kind of surprising, but hey, it is what it is. When the UFC gives us slop, we have to be excited about shit like this. So let me know what you guys think of both cards in the comments. Let me know what you will be watching. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.